Hi, I'm Brandon, and I'm back to do another tier list ranking. This time I'm ranking the kills in A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Last time we did part 3. Now we're on to 4. This is another one. I really love this movie. I know a lot of people kind of criticize it because this is when Freddy starts to get a bit more jokey, and this this movie, I think people think it's a bit more like lighthearted than the others, and it's not as much of a horror film, and it starts to have that comedy element seep in more than it did before. I really don't care. This movie is awesome. I just watched it again last week, and it's got really imaginative kills in it, and it's got so much cool stuff. So let's get into it. Once again, like the last movie, we have a total of 6 kills, which I like because the part 5 and 6 after this only have 3 kills each. Which, even though some of them are kind of cool, it's just you want that body count in there. If you're a fan of horror movies or slasher movies, it's kind of more the better. But let's get into this. I honestly haven't really thought much about this one. I wasn't even going to record this today. I just decided to do it on a whim. So I guess we'll figure it out as we go. So let's just start here with Kincaid, the very first one in the movie. It's kind of a hard one to rank because the actual death itself, all he does is stab him in the torso with his knives. It's not that imaginative. But the whole part of Freddy's resurrection that begins the scene is incredibly awesome. I mean, you have a dog peeing fire onto Freddy's grave, for crying out loud. I mean, you can't beat that when it can't beat that when it comes to cinema. So that whole part's good. I love how Freddy comes back to life, all that. So the scene itself is awesome, but the death itself is kind of mediocre. So for now, maybe I'll put it at number 4, and then we'll see how these others place. Debbie's death is, I might even put that up at number 1. It's the one where Freddy turns her into a bug because she's afraid of bugs, turns her into a cockroach, and then captures her in a cockroach hotel and squishes her. This is probably the most imaginative one. It's funny, I always figured people would not like this one because it's a bit too ridiculous, but most fans I talk to and most of the stuff I hear online, people really like this kill. I think just for the fact that it's gruesome, the effects are awesome, and it's just very imaginative. And if you're making a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, you have that freedom to do whatever you want with the kills. So why not use your imagination and just come up with crazy weird stuff like this? Because in the new movie, the shitty remake in 2010, there was not really any imaginative kills. It was all just stabbing, stabbing, stabbing. And then the one that was kind of cool in the bedroom was like a rip off of the original movie. So I miss the early days when they just had really cool kills like this. I might have to put Rick's death last. It's the one where he's fighting an invisible Freddy using martial arts, and then the disembodied glove comes and kills him. I know even the filmmakers said, I think it was in the commentary or something, that they didn't like this kill. They were just out of money, and it was so cheap, and it was the best that they could do with the budget they had, and they didn't even have Robert Englund that day for some reason, so they had to do it without him. All that aside, I don't mind the kill. I think it's still, honestly, it's like among the cooler ones of the series. Even with an invisible Freddy, it's still, they did the best of what they could, and especially when I was younger watching it, I never noticed. I never stopped to question, like, why is Freddy invisible all of a sudden? I just thought it was a cool kill, and it's actually pretty decent. However, if you're ranking them, it might have to come in at the very end. Now, Kristen's death might have to put that number 5. It's not bad. She gets thrown into the furnace. It's kind of cool, and it's also like, especially the first 3 deaths of the movie, where you see the Dream Warriors from part 3 get their comeuppance. It kind of shows that no one is safe from Freddy. Even Nancy eventually got killed. So when you have a guy like Freddy who's stalking you in your mind, in your dreams, there's no getting away from him. Like, eventually he'll find you. So I think Alice might be the only one to actually survive and get away from him, other than obviously the people that killed him in Freddy's Dead or whatever. But here we got Kristen, who is the protagonist of part 3, and she just unceremoniously dies by getting thrown into a furnace by Freddy. And it's not bad. It's a kind of a cool kill. There's just something about the staging of it, that it looks kind of weird. Like the first two were just very well done, and this one, it just looks a bit awkward. I can't really explain it. I'm not sure if anyone else knows what I'm talking about, but it just seems like it's not staged as well as the others. There's nothing really wrong with it, but I would probably put it down here. Sheila's death. It is a good one. I'd probably just have to put it 3, only because the Joey's death coming up I think is cooler. But yeah, Sheila's death. It's got the "wanna suck" face one-liner that Freddy's cracking those out more than he did before, and it does do some of the deaths. They do a good job of showing like what does it look like in the real world. Like why would people not know that it's Freddy? And it's because she had asthma. So even though Freddy sucked all her air out of her body, in real life it looks like she died of an asthma attack. Sometimes they don't do that. Sometimes the deaths kind of add their own horror in real life, as we'll see with Joey's here, which is a really cool death. This is the one, when I was a kid, this was probably my favorite when I first saw it. It was just, I don't know. I think everyone thinks it's cool on some level. Joey's looking up at the poster of the girl on his wall, and it seems like he's always led astray by his lust for beautiful women. It kind of led him astray in part 3, where he followed that nurse and ended up getting tied up and tortured by Freddy. And in this one, the girl disappears from the poster and then appears inside of his waterbed, and then turns into Freddy, who pops up and drags him under and kills him in the bed. What's weird about this one is that the next morning when Joey's mom comes in, pulls back his covers, she finds him inside the bed, which is really cool. It's a cool way to end it. It kind of messes with the rules of the Nightmare on Elm Street series, and a lot of the movies have a problem with breaking their own rules. It's kind of like what's dream and what's not. And the thing is, if he got pulled inside the bed in his dream, then why is he inside the bed in real life? He's inside the bed, but it's not ripped up like it was when Freddy destroyed it with his claws. So if you really try to think of it in terms of logic, it really doesn't add up. But it's so cool that I think people can overlook that. And I just see it that sometimes just the nature of dreams in your subconscious, that Freddy and the dream world can kind of leak into the real world a bit, sometimes a bit more than others. So weird phenomena like this, where Joey's inside the bed, kind of makes sense on some level. At least that's what I used to justify it. So yeah, so that is just a really, really cool kill. Overall, this movie I think is close to number 3 in terms of originality of the kills, and it has a good number of them. The subsequent 2 movies, like I said, they only have 3 kills, which is not enough to. I mean, they're still decent movies, but these ones have a lot of kills. This is the peak of the movie, the series, I think, with part 3 and 4. Anyways, let me know if there's any other tier lists or any other types of reviews or anything you want me to do. I'm kind of trying to figure out what you guys want to see, so let me know what you want to see more of. And subscribe if you want to help me out, and I will see you all next time.